If you want to get in contact with me, the best way to do it is on Instagram. If you just want to say what up, if you want to tell me you love my videos, if you want to tell me you love my beard, the best way to do it's on Instagram. Peace, y'all. JonnyFastlane here. So, Lil Nas X is getting sued for $20 million, and Drake and Chris Brown finally dropped the video for no guidance. Plus, J Blige is gonna star in a Power spinoff. Let's talk hip-hop. This story is crazy, right? Because Lil Nas X seemingly came out of nowhere, right? Like a lot of people yo, he's an industry plant, yo, he came out of nowhere, he's a one-hit wonder, overnight success, whatever, right? He probably is an industry plant, but he didn't come out of nowhere, right? So the whole situation is, the first time that I ever heard of Lil Nas X, and the first time that I ever heard any song from him was Old Town Road, like a lot of us, right? And this was like a couple months ago, maybe like January, February, maybe the latest like March is when everybody started hearing about him, right? And people were like, yo, he came out of nowhere. And then he came out with a sound that was kind of like country and then kind of trap at the same time. So he really intrigued a lot of people, including me, right? And so one of the things that I wanted to know was, does Lil Nas X, at that point in time, did Lil Nas X have any other songs that sounded like country trap, or was he like a traditional rapper, but this song is country trap kind of sounding, or what it is, right? So I was doing research like you know I do, right? And I found this song called Carry On by Lil Nas X, right? And it was a whole video for it, right? And in the video, he's kind of dancing around and he's in a cemetery, right? And he's kind of rapping about like his mom passing away and his grandmother passing away, right? And the way that he was rapping and flowing on the song, plus the way that the beat was and everything, was a little bit more geared towards like traditional hip hop, right? And I'm not talking about traditional hip hop like, you know, Nas or like DMX or somebody like spitting bars. It's not like Lil Nas X was like barring people to death, right? But I would say more traditional hip hop in the same vein as like, you know, Atlanta rappers like your Little Baby or your Gunners or something like that, right? He was like kind of crooning but spitting, and the beat was more like hip hoppy and not kind of country music like an Old Town Road is, right? But anyway, so I was like, okay, so he had that one song out and then this Old Town Road, and that was it, right? That was before 7 EP dropped or anything like that, right? And I didn't realize that like Carry On was a sample from like this dude named Bobby Caldwell or whatever like that from like 1982, right? But it was, right? But here's the thing. Lil Nas X came out with that, but it's not like he was signed to like any major record deal or whatever the case may be. So it's kind of okay to use a sample if you're not getting money off of it, right? So if I wanted to use like a sample of something, but I say, hey, I don't want to get money, this is for promotional purposes only, then I could just put it out, right? If I ain't making money off of it, then it doesn't matter, because it's not like I'm taking any money from that or from your project or whatever the case may be to profit off of it, right? And this is how a lot of songs end up being like just put on mixtapes or put on SoundCloud, or even like Nas, who came out with the Lost Tapes too, might have had some issues where he couldn't clear certain samples at first, so he scrapped the song, and then years down the line they say, okay, fine, we'll let you use the sample, so then he puts it like on the Lost Tapes too, right? So this is why like a song might leak from Drake that you never heard because it has a sample in it that he couldn't get cleared and he couldn't put it on his Scorpion album, whatever the case may be, right? So then Lil Nas X dropped 7 EP, and that song Carry On is not on there, right? But it's also a little bit more hip-hoppy, and the way that I kind of saw like Lil Nas X gearing towards is like he's kind of gearing towards a country trap kind of sound, so he didn't want to use that on there anyway, right? And then I saw that the video from Carry On actually was taken down off of YouTube, right? So it's almost like his record label, Sony, kind of didn't want people to know about Lil Nas X before Old Town Road. They didn't want him to seem like a traditional rapper, right? They wanted him to be more like geared towards like the kids and like the country trap music kind of thing, and you know, definitely like a different kind of swag, right? So I'm like, okay, cool, I see what y'all trying to do, but here's the thing though, even though they took it off of YouTube, right, it's still on SoundCloud, right? Which is cool that it's on SoundCloud because rappers don't make any money off of any music that they put on SoundCloud at all. So that's kind of like a digital mixtape, right? Where I know I'm not going to make money off of it. I'm just putting it out so people could hear my music, and then the real stuff we'll put on the album, like the 7 EP, which it wasn't on there, right? Here's the thing though, right? Sony did not take it down off of Spotify and, you know, other streaming platforms like Pandora and things like that. So if it's on there, then it's included in streaming, right? And if it's on there, it can be put on playlists. And if it's on there, it can be made money off of, right? And that's where the problem lies, because the people that, it's not even Bobby Caldwell who's the one that's suing Lil Nas X, right? And it's his song, but it's the people that own the rights to the song, right? Which is his record label, some, you know, hole in the wall record label who sees an opportunity to make money off of this young kid, and they're seizing it, right? The only thing is that I think that they're kind of in the right, you know? I want to sit here and I want to defend Lil Nas X against the big corporate machines, and I want to say that they're trying to take money out this kid's mouth, right? And they are, but I think they may have grounds here, right? Because it seems like, yeah, Lil Nas X made money off of the song. Now, he ain't make no 20 million off of the song, right? He made a whole lot more money off of Old Town Road, right? But the whole thing is that, yeah, they're suing him. They're suing him for like $10 million for using it without permission, and $10 million for saying that he basically, it's almost like vandalism is what they're calling it, because they're saying that he took their property, which is the song, and defaced it and broke it down and created whatever he wanted to do with it. They didn't like his representation of the song. They don't think that it's good as far as morally, you know, sound, and so they're suing him for $10 million for that. So $10 million for not asking for it, and then $10 million for destroying their song. It's crazy, man. Do I think that they're gonna get a full $20 million? Probably not, but I do think that Lil Nas X and Sony Records are gonna have to settle out of court with these guys, and it's gonna cost them some money. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments down below. Yo, man, listen, yo. So Drake and Chris Brown dropped the video for No Guidance, right? And y'all know No Guidance is on Chris Brown's Indigo album, right? And this is fire because Drake and Chris Brown had beef, right? And I'm talking about like real beef, not no hip-hop beef. You say I'm whack and you say I'm corny, you say F you and then I'm mad, right? No, they had beef. Like somebody, like Chris Brown got hit in the face with a bottle at a club here in New York, right? That Drake and Meek Mill were on one side of the VIP section. Chris Brown was on the other side of the VIP section. And I don't know who threw the bottle, but I don't think it was Drake. And it was Drake and Meek Mill. And I don't think it was Drake. That's all I'm saying. And a bottle flew out of that section and it hit Chris Brown in the face, yo. And Chris Brown then went on Instagram and like showed his chin and showed how like the bottle had cut his face and everything. Like they had beef. And if I was Chris Brown, I don't know if I would have became cool with Drake again, but they're cool again, which is okay, and this is dope, right? So they got together and they decided to do this song called No Guidance, right? And the song is just fire, man. Even before the video came out, this was like one of the lead singles off of Indigo, and the way that just Drake and Chris Brown sound together is fire, and it almost makes me like regret them ever even having beef, because they could have been coming out with dope music all these years, right? But I'm still alive and I'm still here and I got to enjoy the music now, so this is cool too, right? So the video starts where, you know, it's showing Chris Brown, he's chilling, he has on a red bandana shirt and also a red bandana tied around his head, and he's like chilling with his homeboys, and they're like, yo, I hope old boy don't show up, right? They don't even say his name. They're like, I hope old boy don't show up here, right? And then Chris Brown was like, I don't care if old boy show up, right? And then Drake walks in, and Drake is chilling with Chubbs and all his people, and then they make eye contact, Drake and Chris Brown, and they're like, oh man. So Drake just looks like he's upset, pissed off, and walks over to Chris Brown, like, let me just walk over to this dude. Chris Brown walks over to Drake, right? And then this little kid comes out of nowhere, and then the little kid starts talking to Chris Brown, and this little kid's like, Drake told me to tell you, you the type to take pictures of your breakfast in the morning. You the type to, you know, look at yourself in the mirror 2 or 3 times, you know, like just just funny stuff, right? And then the whole crowd is like, oh, right? And then Chris Brown whispers in the kid's ear like, yo, I want to have a dance battle, right? So then they start doing this dance battle, right? And so Chris Brown starts dancing, and he's like dancing to the part of the song where it really breaks down, and Drake is like, freaky, I could tell a lot by how the way you treat me. You know, that part of the song, Chris Brown is just doing like his whole thing, and then the music stops, right? And then Drake is like, oh, Chris Brown, dancer extraordinaire, woo. And then he's like, yo, I can do it too, right? And then it's so funny, right? Like, Drake is a funny dude, right? And a good ass actor, right? Because he's like, yo, how'd you get your music so loud? I don't even see speakers out here, right? And then he tells Chubbs, he's like, yo, Chubbs, play some music off my phone, right? And Chubbs is like, I don't even know like how to get it. Like, he's like, come on, man, you know the code, right? And then so Drake starts dancing, like he's like, whoa, I'm gonna hit you with the snake, oh, right? And then the whole crowd, there's no music, by the way, and the whole crowd is looking at Drake like, this dude done lost his mind. It is the funniest thing, right? Like, y'all need to watch the video, right? And then he's like, whoa, and Chris Brown is just standing here like, I don't even know how Chris Brown didn't laugh throughout this whole thing, right? Because Chris Brown is standing there with the straight face as Drake is just like dancing around him and trying to do these like fake moves, and he's like, whoa, roll with it. And then he's like, I'm gonna take your heart out, whoa. Like, he's like doing old bruck up moves from like 1996. It's retarded, right? He's like, yeah, eat your heart, put it back in, yeah. I mean, it is the funniest thing, right? Like, they make light of their rivalry, and they're cool now, which is so dope, right? Y'all need to watch the video, and then let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Yo, so this is fire, right? So, all right, Power is about to be over, right? And I know a lot of people are gonna like cry and be like, no, Power is gone, right? So Power, January 2020 is finished, right? Season finale, series finale, done, right? And that's in like 5 months from now, right? So all y'all Power fans, y'all gonna have to binge watch something else, right? But for now, though, Power's still around. And then it was just announced that, Mary J. Blige announced it on her Instagram. You know, Courtney Kemp and 50 Cent are working with Mary J. Blige right now for a series of spin-offs of Power, right? So not just one spin-off, but the first spin-off is going to be starring Mary J. Blige, which is dope, right? So Mary J. Blige was like, this is probably one of the best things that's happened to me this year. She's been a fan of Power, since the beginning. She said that, she really loves it, and that it really kind of reminds her of the way that she came up in the hip-hop game. So this is gonna be fire, man. And this is dope because like lately, Mary J. Blige and 50 Cent have been making like huge power moves, right? No pun intended, right? So Mary J. Blige was on that, it was like a Netflix series called like Umbrella Academy, where she was like one of the two hitmen that were trying to like get these kids or whatever who have like superpowers. It's like a crazy thing, but it's a dope show on Netflix, right? 50 Cent, he's been getting this money, he's working on BMF, and I really think like that's why he's stopping Power, because he's got to focus on BMF. But this is good because since this is a spin-off of Power, he's still going to be getting money from that show that Mary J. Blige is going to be on. Plus, he's going to be focused on BMF too and get money from that. And 50 Cent ain't playing, man. He ain't got to come out with no more music because he's literally jumped into like the TV series lane, right? And this show with Mary J. Blige is supposed to be coming out like next year around this same time in the summer of 2020. So I think it's going to be dope, man. Let me know what y'all think about this and everything else in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure y'all hit me with that, make sure I hit that notification bell, and don't forget to follow me on Instagram at JonnyFastlane, and y'all know what to do. Peace.